Dakota land where the skies are wide and the freedom stands. With a Bible in my hand and a prayer in my heart, living this life where the wild plays its part. Dust on my boots and my hat pulled low, got my trusty rifle and I'm ready to go. Hunting the game as the sun hits the sky in the heart of the 701. I feel so alive. Guns and the 701, that's how we roll. Faith in the good Lord, that's how we hold the line of the legacy that runs through our veins in this wild, wild land where the spirit remains. We're living free, living bold, side by side, with God on our plate and our hearts open wide. Ranching the fields, the cattle run free with a purpose so strong, it's our grand legacy. Rivers run deep as we cast out our lines, fishing the waters where the North Star shines. Got the warmth of the sun with the chill of the night. With every shot fired, we're ready to fight for the freedom we cherish. The second is true. With family beside us, we stand through and through. Guns in the 701, that's how we roll. Faith in the good Lord, that's how we hold the line of the legacy that runs through our veins in this wild, wild land where the spirit remains. We're living free, free, living bold, side by side, with God on our plate and our hearts open wide. In a world that's spinning with sins that they wield, we stick to our values. Our fate is revealed with the word as our guide. We tread on the earth, a community built from the love, not the curse. Raising our voices, singing loud through the night, for God and our freedom, we'll continue the fight. Let the rifles ring out, let the spirits align. In North Dakota's embrace, our souls intertwine. So when you hear the gunshots and feel that proud sound, know it's faith and freedom that echoes around. From the fields of the ranch to the depths of the lake, with God on our side, there's nothing at stake. Guns and the 71, forever we'll stand in the heart of our faith in this great free
Good evening, fellow MVEs, friends, and others, foes, and those that support us, I guess. I know we have you all out there. Thanks again for tuning in on another great episode here tonight, episode 184. Kind of hard to believe. And by the way, look at this. Some brand new deals here. Some water bottles with the new logos. Horton LaserCraft, another great sponsor to Guns in the 701. We want to thank her and Roger for making those happen. They turned out fantastic. So we'll be doing a few new things here coming up. Brian, good evening, my fellow MVE. Corey, good to have you on. Waylon Turnus, good evening. Kelly, good to see you. Lynette, you're right. That intro, I just, it's an AI generated that I did, but it turned out pretty darn good. And it was all done because we were trying to get around all the algorithms that were flagging us. So, yeah. Hey, Paul, good evening to you. Dennis, good evening to you as well. So I think I got a pretty good show here lined up. We're going to talk a little bit about Denver. They're getting sued by the new Department of Justice, and I call it the 2.0, DOJ 2.0, because Bondi's out. We have a new director. We have a new ATF director, new assistant attorney general. Things are starting to happen there, and I'm glad to see it. We're also going to talk a little bit. You're going to like this, I think. I kind of went and found some stuff about Germany and what was happening in 1938, I believe it was, when basically they declared the Jews as unfit to, the Jewish people to have guns, knives, pretty much anything. Some of the terminology, some of the tactics that were used, you're seeing again in Germany now with the same kinds of things, where a certain party is being accused of different, different ideologies than the crazy progressives, much like we're seeing here in the United States. Except we do have a Second Amendment to protect us. So I think we're going to love that one. States that are moving to come into line with suppressors, meaning the NFA that has been zeroed out. A lot of cleanup to do in a lot of states that even I really wasn't aware how embedded these layers of bureaucracy and government by progressives. And we've had decades. Think about that. 1934, this was FDR's greatest. He was all about this thing. And his attorney general was horrible. He was another progressive. And that's what happened with the NFA. So, yeah. Hey, Dave, good to have you on as well. Anyway, that's kind of where we're going. Then we're going to try to have a happy ending of the week, a happy ending chronicle. We're going to call it an evening. I have no guests tonight on purpose because I just wanted to kind of move straight forward and give you guys a lot of information. So, first of all, we'll start out here with our Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. We start each show with that. It's one of the most important as far as I'm concerned. And I don't think it's coincidental that in the Bible we have the Ten Commandments, God's law, that he brought down to Moses. And then our founding fathers, who were based in Christianity, they seen the tyranny coming out of England from a king. And then we ended up with the Bill of Rights, which is 10 as well. I don't know. I just don't think that's coincidental. I think that was kind of on purpose. I don't know. There's nothing to back that up. But, trying to get into the minds of the founders, some of the writings and the letters that they were writing back and forth to their spouses, to friends, and in between each other. That was their mindset. But, that's just my opinion. And I guess to me it makes sense. But so with that, let's get started with our prayer. Heavenly Father, we know that you have sent down your laws as to how we're supposed to live and what we're supposed to do. We know that many things happened starting in the Garden of Eden and when sin basically came into this world, and we've suffered from it ever since. We all fail. We're all guilty of it. Then fast forward, it was predicted throughout the Old Testament that a Messiah would come, and that with that he would be of man, he'd be of God, and he'd be of the Spirit. Jesus came, and he knew, he was a little over 30 years old. The prophecy was fulfilled, and he died for our sins. The earth shook. The skies turned black as coal. You can't even imagine. And he suffered for our sins so that we could enter God's kingdom and be forgiven. All we have to do, give our hearts to Jesus, give our hearts to the Lord, and truly repent for our sins. Lord, please, as we move through this world and we see a lot of different signs probably coming to revelations, we ask that you give our leaders strength and knowledge so that they can make the right decisions that are pleasing to you. We all know that this is in your hands. We know we need not fear, and we can live our lives as long as we have faith in your law and in your word. In your name we pray. Amen. That was kind of heavy on my mind, everybody. I went to Bible study last night. We had some discussion as well. And the world seems on fire, don't it? But don't worry. We don't have to worry. So with that, let's get started, everybody. Again, we want to welcome one of our brand new sponsors, Crappie Creek Feeds. I hear you so I kind of popped that on there. We had talked about it, and I announced it right away because I knew they were going to do it, and we had talked already. But I think I caught them a little off guard. But thank you guys. For those of you that called in and called them, asking Jason about what he's got, I'm telling you, we might not have the biggest audience, although it's grown quite a bit. But we definitely have loyal followers and listeners. So thanks for supporting our sponsors, because our sponsors are of like mind. And Jason and Megan Holm, you won't find more conservative people that think like we do, especially when it comes to Second Amendment, than they do. And I'm proud to buy my feed supplies from them and glad to have them as a sponsor, brand new, of Guns in the 701. Of course, we are powered by LAUER Auto Repair, 309 South Washington. Axe and the crew, we can't thank you enough. One of our founding sponsors, and we're proud to have him on board. So recently, if anybody hasn't been paying attention, the U.S. Department of Justice has made some changes, right? Pam Bondi's out, and good riddance. I never did support her. She was better than, say, somebody that was under Biden or Obama. We saw what happened under there. But Bondi, she was dragging her feet. There's no doubt about it. Well, we're seeing a completely different Department of Justice. Then you got Harmeet Dillon, who's the Assistant Attorney General now, and she's heading up. Remember, they created the Civil Rights Division, and they put the Second Amendment section into that. That was a creation under Trump. And, well, Denver's had essentially an assault weapons ban for like 38 years, where it bans semi-automatics, essentially AR-15s, with a standard capacity magazine. I mean, it's just that simple. They did this because of knee-jerk reaction, plus it's a communist city as far as I'm concerned, and they didn't care. They didn't care about your rights. They did not care about the rights of the citizens in Denver. That sounds like the county come on board and the police department, because they're all named in this lawsuit. So it was, I believe, I think it was yesterday, last week, looks like they actually filed, or was it Monday? I kind of just found all this information. They filed suit on Denver, the county, and the Denver Police Department, saying they are violating Bruin. We've had a lot of discussions about Bruin. Huge case, changed everything. That with Heller in 2008. We really have some teeth in common use of firearms, and are they protected? And both them huge decisions say, yes, you have a legal right to have them, and they're common use. Therefore, that's step one. And that's what they're saying here in the lawsuit. Of course, you got Mayor Johnson's out there. No, it's not. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. Nope. We're not going to comply. Well, I would suggest they do, because I think they're pretty serious about going after him, and I'm glad to see it. So here is what was said by Denver, Colorado Mayor Mike Johnson when he was talking to reporters, and they asked him about the Justice Department and the lawsuit. And he goes, his reaction was, hell no, we will not do this. So, that is exactly what he said. That's what a leftist thinks. That's what they're doing. He don't care. And he said, he's basically saying, go ahead, do it. File the case and come after us. And I hope they follow through. I want to see this. Some people have said this is probably a midterm action. I don't think so. I think Trump was finally tired of Bondi. He'd been getting a lot of pressure from the Second Amendment community, people like you, people like me, people calling their senators, calling their reps, going, hey, what's going on? To put pressure on the Department of Justice, and Bondi's Department of Justice in particular. We weren't seeing anything. All these things were I mean, she sued LA County, I believe it was, but that wasn't nothing. That and drug her feet on that. There's so many things to go after. And on the NFA stuff, she was absent. In fact, she was defending some of it yet. So good riddance to her. I don't know what she's doing in Florida, but good riddance, and I don't care really. The ban in there in Denver was basically banning commonly owned semi-automatic rifles. And it is a direct violation then to ban them, as they are common use. They just absolutely are. The Department of Justice, this is Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche. And he says, the Constitution is not a suggestion, and the Second Amendment is not a second-class right. We never heard Bondi say that, did we? Ever have we heard Bondi ever say that? And Denver's ban on commonly used, owned, and commonly used semi-automatic rifles directly violates the right to bear arms. The Department of Justice will vigorously defend the liberties of law-abiding citizens nationwide. That's a quote from your brand new Acting Attorney General, Todd Blanche. Wow. What a 180, right? Bondi, she always skirted the questions. You got to remember, Bondi in Florida didn't have a stellar Second Amendment record. I think when Trump put her in there because, Matt had basically stepped out, he'd stepped down. I think this was I think he thought, well, I can get her through the process easier. I don't know. I don't know what his thoughts were, but she was horrible. And you can right here, Bondi announced that the DOJ would aggressively defend Second Amendment. That was last year. And here's the lawsuit. That's right. I was right. Beyond the lawsuit against the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department and legal action in the Virgin Islands, how the police had handled things down there. Basically, she's dragging her feet and had no other cases going on and didn't pursue much on either of them as well. But here's the federal complaint. Here is the language. The Denver ordinance uses politically charged rhetoric. The term assault weapon is not a technical term used in the firearms industry. And they reference Clarence Thomas here. Rather, as Justice Thomas has aptly noted, assault weapon is a rhetorically charged political term developed by the anti-gun publicists that are pushing it. Then that's a true statement. Words mean everything. Words have meaning, terminology. And if anybody has noticed in the last 10 years, the terminology from the other side has changed several times. But we've seen it in the big issues. We've seen it come about. Assault weapons has now become weapon of war. Remember, machines of war, semi-autos. In some circles, they're calling them full autos, which they're not. Weapons of mass destruction. I've even heard guns. I'm not talking artillery from like military. No, I'm talking. I've heard anti-gunners call them that. So terminology means everything. Kind of like an illegal alien become an illegal immigrant to a non-documented person. No. They're the same thing. They're all illegal. So terminology means everything. When they can't win, when leftists can't win, they change the rules and they change the terms. It's about deceit. It's about chaos and lying. And it's that simple. So it's no different here. Then the Denver Gazette, Johnson told the press conference, no, we will not roll back, common sense policy that kept weapons of war, right there it is, off of the city streets for 37 years. No, we will not put first responders at greater risk every time they respond. No, we will not go back in time when folks are worried about walking into the movies, grocery store, blah, blah, blah. So basically, he thinks he made a good statement there. This guy just called all of us basically a threat. We can't be trusted. Because that's what he's saying. If this is overturned, this is rolled back. If you're a fireman, if you're an ambulance driver, if you're EMS, if you're just going to the store, you're going to be killed. You're going to be shot. That's what they're saying. It's not true. But he says you can't be trusted. So we're going to just ban everything. And it hasn't helped, has it? Murder rates have not went down. By the way, just last year, the Denver PD, I believe, only reported in all of the instances where firearms were recovered in crime, it was less than 2% were an actual, quote, assault weapon. And that number stayed pretty steady even before the ordinance and the ban. When it's a city ordinance, everybody, this is just a city ordinance with a lot of regulatory actions put within it. So I'm glad to see this is happening. I think it's going to be a good thing. He can write what he wants. The attorney or the city attorney, he's saying the same thing that he basically cited 6 or 7 different court rulings at lower courts that have upheld different stuff. And what he doesn't talk about is some of those have been overturned. And we have several right now being turned over at the appellate levels on those particular cases. You can find a case that's going to fit your narrative anywhere. Just look at the right level, whether it be a district court, whether it be a local court, whatever it might be, you can find some decision that's going to back you, but it may have been overturned, and it might have been reinstated. It might have flip-flopped, or it might have just been the end. You don't know. And a lot of them don't even make the Supreme Court. And you got your 3-court judge panels versus the full. So don't believe everything you read in a headline, because it might be yesterday's news or it might be cherry-picked. just to get the narrative out there to the public. Yeah, David, he makes a good point. He says, has it been 34 years since the nut shot up the movie theater? And he's talking about, I don't know. Was that 34 years ago? Could have been. I know that they had the ban for 37 years. Columbine happened, 1994? And I don't honestly remember. But when the school happened there. And of course, the news went out and found one of the victims' fathers in the Columbine shooting to basically say that, the government, they're a bunch of, you can put the words together. I'm not going to say them here. And blame the Trump administration, bring, weapons of war back to the streets. It's like, even though there were several fathers, several parents of the victims at that particular incident that banded together and supported the Second Amendment, even went on tour saying so after that happened. So, like I said, you can find anybody to say what you want. Doesn't make it true. Right here they're talking about, I'm just kind of skimming this here. All right, here's what I'm talking about. We got a 3-judge panel that unanimously upheld it, and then, of course, it was overturned. You don't necessarily believe everything you're hearing when they cherry pick it. If the Department of Justice threat succeeds, Denver residents will be less safe. This is from Janet Carter, who is from the Idiots at Every Town Hates Guns, basically. They got a different name, but will be nice. It's heartbreaking that this would even be a question after the horrific events in Aurora and Columbine and Boulder. Denver's life-saving ban, you just love it when they add these things, is constitutional, and courts nationwide have upheld these rulings. We have overwhelmingly upheld similar measures, and we are proud to stand with Mayor Johnson in the city of Denver. Of course they are, because they love tyranny and they love trampling your rights as much as any other leftist. So, April 28th, Assistant Attorney General Dillon also told Johnson this. She sent a letter to him to retain all your documents, photos, videos, files, tapes, emails, and computer files that are relevant in this matter. So there's something to be said for that, because she's telling them, don't you dare destroy this stuff. Don't you dare get rid of it. You've been put on notice. You can't say nope. And she sent a letter letting, put it in writing. Don't do it. So if they do start doing this thing, or things all of a sudden disappear, they can go after him for some more problems. And that's nice to see too. Hey, Axis, Mayor Johnson sounds like a dick. He pretty much is. I mean, he's a leftist. And anything you know about Denver, they're pretty liberal. So anyway, so she sent this letter to him. Lawsuit is providing dramatic evidence that the Blanche DOJ and Dillon are heading up the Civil Rights Division are going to be more aggressive in the efforts and remind the media that the gun prohibition lobby and anti-gun politicians, the Second Amendment is not a second-class right. It comes only a week after Robert Sakata was confirmed as the new director of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, and his new approach to the Second Amendment. The complaint does note that when the city banned AR-15 style rifles with standard capacity magazines, it also banned an arm in common use for lawful purposes by law-abiding citizens. Therefore, the ordinance violates the Second Amendment, and the United States brings this action to vindicate the rights of Denver citizens whose rights have been and are continuing to be violated by the defendants. That's from your brand new, newly confirmed director of the ATF. What a breath of fresh air, right? I mean, think about this. We haven't heard that even in the first term. We didn't hear that definitely under Bondi. Right out of the gate, he's telling them, listen, we're going to get justice for you guys. You're going to stop trampling the Second Amendment. This is so refreshing, everybody. So Dillon also signed a complaint along with his officials, and now they're seeking to enjoin the city from further enforcement. Meaning, so here's what they said. Unless this court enjoins the defendants and also grants the declaratory relief the United States describes below, the complaint notes defendants will continue to engage in a pattern or practice of conduct that deprives law-abiding individuals of their Second Amendment rights to acquire and possess arms protected by the Second Amendment. While Johnson maintains that the city's gun ban is legal, the firearms community has reminded that in 2022 we had the Supreme Court ruling of New York State in the landmark Bruin decision. Reminded the country that just because lower courts may have upheld unconstitutional law, it doesn't mean it complies with the Second Amendment. And if this case is fast-tracked through the federal court system, the court may have another opportunity to show you how that works. So, like I said, I'm very, very excited about it. I think it's going to be a great thing for the people of Denver. It's also, think about what could happen with this case. The Department of Justice wins it. That's going to set a precedent now for California, Chicago, Michigan. Think of any anti-gun leftist state with big population areas, big cities that are doing this. They're all going to end up being challenged, and that's a good thing. You could even see it challenged in places like Fargo right here or Sioux Falls, because it's all going to be at the federal level. It's going to affect everybody. I did find one other. This was kind of written by a leftist reporter. I found out that, yeah, this ban was passed in 1989. It did ban assault-style weapons. Remember that, assault-style weapons. The possession and sale of guns and magazines carrying more than 15 rounds. They've never changed that, which is kind of interesting, because now it's 10 rounds, right? That's what everybody wants it. Basically, the Department of Justice says that it's politically charged rhetoric, meaning it's bunk, right? And the term assault weapon is a political term developed by anti-gun prohibitionists. Yeah, we all know that. That's exactly where that comes from. Cites the Bruin case, cited Heller. I'm just kind of going through this other one because I kind of found it at the end. And here it is. Yeah. It was actually 2,100 guns were recovered. That's what the number was. And 2%, less than 2%, were assault-style weapons as classified by the Denver police. So that ain't very many, right? The department demands come as Trump administration has moved to broadly challenge gun safety regulations, loosening and oversight of firearms dealers, and reopening gun show loopholes. I put that in there because this is how this person wrote that. Reopening gun show loopholes, which never existed. Gun show loophole was also a term brought out by the leftists, and it's that simple. It's that simple. All right, so Denver City Mayor Miko Brown, or Attorney Miko Brown, and Mayor Johnson, I think they're in for a battle. I don't think that these new people are going to back down like some of the people we've seen before, like the Bondies of the world and previous attorney generals, even under Republican presidents. I don't think these two guys are going to do that. Trump seems to be making a shift when it comes to this, which is good. We'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. All right, I'm going to get to a few more of these comments. Jamie says, good evening. Trying to comment on Rumble, but it didn't come through apparently. Probably not, Jamie. I don't monitor that a lot because it's so tough to monitor the comments coming through, going back and forth. There, I see it. Good evening. But yeah, I see that we can get comments in here now. I haven't really reworked Rumble. We can get some traffic over there, but in all honesty, people are so ingrained in going to CommieTube. There just is not the traffic on Rumble. There's more over there than most have on it on our channels, but I don't know. It's almost not even worth the time. I wish people would migrate over there because they're getting better. They really are. They're getting better all the time as far as how to use it, how to navigate it. It's turning into a pretty decent platform, but people still won't go there. They're used to going to YouTube, so that's where we go. All right. Dave says the person who committed the mass shooting in a movie theater in Colorado was James Egan Holmes. He killed 12 people, injured 70 others during the attack on July 20th, 2012. Yep. I remember when all that happened. And that's been, 12, 14 years ago, something like that. So, and it wasn't the gun's fault. And this happened after the county and the city of Denver's assault weapons ban. It don't work. It just don't work. And the guy was nuts. So just like the shootings we've recently seen, the guy was just in court today, the guy that tried to assassinate our president, and said he didn't figure he'd be there in court today because he didn't think he'd be alive anymore, which is probably a safe assumption. And I don't know why he is alive, honestly, but hopefully they do prosecute him. But the judge today was more concerned about the guy's welfare and how he's being treated in prison because he was in solitary confinement, I understand. Really? These judges have got to be looked at, either removed if they were appointed by a president or impeached, because we have a ton of judges that are very much ideological judges, and that's how they make their decisions. They are not upholding the Constitution. So keep that in mind. And then I seen there was a shooting. I don't have a lot of information on the one in Oklahoma. I was kind of busy today. I seen that took place. I don't know how many were injured or killed there, but I did see that took place in Oklahoma City. I bet you we'll find out it's another leftist. It's never our side. You know, save people, take guns from Democrat crazies. I mean, that's who's committing these things. So I don't have information. I just didn't have time to get to it today. I was busy doing some other things and taking care of our last few cows that are left to calve. So everybody, I am going to take a quick break. We're already 30 minutes into this. Appreciate everybody being here. Again, LAUER Auto Repair, our founding sponsor, and that's how we are powered, along with other great sponsors. Horton LaserCraft. We got Crappie Creek Feeds, Glad Valley, South Dakota. And of course, we have a Little Angry Man Firearms, all great sponsors, and Kalon's Auto Service right here in Lemmon, South Dakota. Can't do it without you. We appreciate all their support. We will be right back after this brief timeout, or as Rush used to say, it's an obscene profit center timeout. So we'll be right back.
LAUER Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at LAUER Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with LAUER, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. LAUER Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at LAUER Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's LAUER Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
When you want it done right,
Go where lemons go.
Kalon's Auto Service, owned and operated by Kalon and Misty Foss, lifelong locals with over 25 years experience. From modern rides to classic restorations, they can handle it all. Top quality work, fair price, and honest hometown values. Located just one block south of Highway 12 on 6th Avenue West in Lemmon, Kalon's Auto Service, serving you with all your auto repair needs.
And quickly here, I want to remind everybody, hey, we got our primary coming up here in North Dakota. If you're in District 31, that means all Sioux County, parts of Grant, and parts of Morton. Check out your maps. You want to vote District 31 for Senator Mary Grainer. She is the only candidate that we endorse here for that race. And Don Shively is no good there. He's been there. He's making advertisements about, we got the experience. All he does is collect his check and deplete oxygen while he sits in the legislature every 2 years and committee meetings in between. Put Mary in there. She's going to be new. She's going to be basically a breath of fresh air. And I think you're going to see some real – she's going to try. You got to remember, the legislature is a crazy place, and you do get power with years. But Mary's going to go in there, and I know Mary can bridge gaps that I could never. So I endorse her, Mary Grainer, for District 31. Also, you have Dawson Hawley. He's coming in here. He was the youngest candidate ever elected to the state house in District 31. he is running for re-election again. Of course, he's going to be subject to term limits, and so he won't have a very long career because he'll be term limited out eventually. But I had Dawson on the show. I've had Mary on the show. Karen Rohr did not come on the show. Don't know why, but I'm still going to say that that's your team, but definitely you're probably in the House going to vote for Dawson, and in the Senate you want to vote for Mary Grainer. That is the team. That's who you're going to want to support if you are in District 31. And I know the ballot's already going out because on this end we have to do it unless we want to drive all the way over to 48. We got to do it by mail. So get on out there, get your ballot if you haven't. Vote. If you're going to vote in person, great, get it done. But that is your team for District 31 this round. And send a message to the Perry Schaefers and the establishment. You're fed up with this. Remember, Don Scheibele voted for Summit Carbon Solutions. I know this has nothing to do with Second Amendment, but it could if you're defending your property. He voted for that crap. He voted for them to infringe on your property rights, yet claims to be a property rights guy, and he has been. But that's the problem with the whole legislature. They're pushing this stuff. There's no reason for it. Eminent domain is not part, and it never should be part of the common use carrier. Not for this. Roads are different. And, eminent domain was used for a lot of road work. Probably wouldn't have got built. But this is not a public use. We don't need it. So, anyway, Mary's against that. Dawson's against that. I have no clue where Karen stands on. I imagine she's against it. But, again, she didn't come on the show, and I haven't heard a lot out of her. So, anyway, that's going to be your team for District 31. I wanted to put that out there. And Corey says, seen his boards at the end, at the bottom of them, it says endorsed by the Republican Party. Didn't he skip your party big? So here's how that worked, Corey. They went to the district endorsing meeting. I believe they held it in Elgin. You had Jim Schmidt, you had Don Scheibele, and you had the guy Kevin Remington. He's another lifelong bureaucrat. So, worked, I think, government most of his life. I don't know a lot about him. Nobody does. But he hopped on board because he's going to be a puppet for the establishment people if he gets elected. They went to the endorsing meeting. They flooded that with their own people, and that's okay. You can do that, and voted everybody. And the others didn't even have a chance really to get endorsed. And then Don, who's also the chair right now, a state legislature, also a chair of the district right now in 31. He's supposed to be at the state convention, which took place in Minot. And by the way, Matt, if you're listening, I know you listen to the show. Thank you. You did a fantastic job. I could not be there, but you did a good job. I've seen your speech. It was one of the better speeches I think I've ever seen delivered at the state convention. But Don did not show. None of them showed. None of them showed except Dawson was there. Mary was there. Karen was there. But all these guys, all these supposedly diehard Republicans didn't even show up at their own state convention. So he got endorsed, obviously, by the district with a very packed one-way voting block, but he did not show at the state convention and he should have been there, plain and simple. Yeah, Matt says, yep, I sure am. Appreciate that. Thanks, Matthew. Yeah, Matthew's a solid guy. You ain't going to find a more solid guy than Matthew Simon, and very intelligent. So if you haven't had a chance to meet him, give him a call. I'm telling you, you're going to get along great with Matt. So anyway, Corey, that's what's going on in District 31. Yeah, his signs, and they're running together, and they're making a big thing about it. But don't be fooled if you're in District 31. You do not want that team in there. Jim Schmidt had his chance. In fact, Dawson Hawley beat him. All Jim Schmidt cares is about water projects. He don't care about the rest of this district at all. At all. I don't know why he wants back in there at his age either. It's a power thing for these people. It's a power thing. You served your time. You were there several years. Move on and go fishing. Go fishing. Do something productive anyway. So I'm going to touch on Germany. So here's what's going on in Germany right now. You have the Interior Ministry wants to revoke hunting licenses. That's right. Hunting licenses. They also have to have a firearms possession card in Germany. They are probably close to the worst, if not quite the worst. I don't know where they fall in Europe as far as anti-gun and firearm infringements. They just don't. They do not have a constitutional amendment like us. So they want to revoke the hunting licenses and firearm possession cards for the Alternative for Germany supporters and basically party. Anyone in Saxony, that's where this is taking place, who is an AFD member or attends party events risks losing their firearms licenses. This is a new decree and now reverses a burden of proof. You don't even have to have a burden of proof anymore. You can just be completely denied. This ministry confirmed the existence of the measure. It wasn't supposed to come out. It was issued last July. They declined to publish it, describing it as an internal document instead, saying it didn't have to be published. It got out. Here was the reason. They noted that the reason was that the AFD party has been classified, and here it comes, I'm talking about terminology, as a confirmed right-wing extremist organization. Hey, have we heard that before? It's also due to its anti-immigration platform for wanting to deport illegals. Sounds familiar, don't it? And opposing sanctions on Russia and support for the Ukraine war that was going on. So all leftist positions over here in this country, and they've called us some of the same things. A challenge to that designation, then, there was a challenge to it. It was rejected on appeal, showing that the establishment fears a rapidly growing populist movement. So that's why I bring this up. They use terminology. We always joke on here, and we say, hey, good evening, fellow MVs, militant violent extremists. We were actually tagged that. Anybody that had a MAGA hat, anybody who really was a Trump supporter, if you didn't believe in the pandemic or China virus, as I call it, if you didn't want to have a vaccine, you were an MV. And we were classified that. Or if you were a Christian wanting to go to church, if you did not go along with the crazy alphabet, LB, whatever, you were an MV. This was a designation that we were given by Homeland Security under Obama and Biden. So with doing that, that almost puts you into a whole classification where can they take your rights away because they've deemed that you now are not someone to be trusted in the country, even though you're standing up for constitutional rights. This is where I'm going with this. And it's crazy. And Ryan's is still my favorite badge. Yeah, we wear it with honor, don't we? Anyway, that's why I'm bringing this up. So the requirement to demonstrate reliability and burden of proof is on AFD members to show clear distancing now from the party's positions. The report explains, further noting simply having no criminal record is not sufficient. So they can't just say, hey, we're not with that group. Nope. That'd be like any of us who say, hey, I'm a MAGA supporter, or I'm just pick your group. And someone says, wait. You're going to fail your 4473 form when you buy a purchase a firearm. You're going to be denied now a permit to carry if you need it in the state because of your affiliation with the GOP. I mean, that's what that's saying. And that's why I brought this up at the beginning of the show. This has been done before. There's been prior restraints. They were codified in the law by the German weapons laws. And I'll read you exactly what this was. It's a regulation took place. The Nazi weapons law, November 11th, 1938, regulations against Jews' possession of weapons. Reads, Jews, number 5 of the first regulations is German citizenship law of 14 November 1935, page 1332, are prohibited from acquiring, possessing, and carrying firearms and ammunition, as well as truncheons or stabbing weapons. Those now possessing weapons and ammunition are at once to turn them over to the local police authority. That's in Germany, 1935. And this we've seen happen, and we've seen what happened to those people. They just declared that they were not fit. Boom, you have to take your stuff away. So the AFD now is characterized by its critics over in Germany, and you can go over there and look. I kind of was thumbing through some of their media. They're calling them Nazis, neo-Nazis, fascists. I mean, I don't know much about the AFD, but I couldn't find too many things that would constitute that. They're now being discriminated against with a virtual clone of the Nazi weapons law. One political establishment and its propagandists will naturally not admit this, which is the other side, and it's reflected by Democrats increasingly right here when they employ Antifa-type slurs, smearing Republicans, MAGA supporters, and calling us Nazis and fascists. Yes, they call Trump that every day. Terminology means everything. Terminology means everything. Matthews says virtually every genocide was participated by gun confiscation. Yeah, absolutely, it was. It was the precursor to every single kind of gun confiscation. Registration. I mean, we've also said it. Don't register them either. Registration leads to confiscation. It's just that's what happens. The UK Liberal Party, and this is what's what's being buried is these two inconvenient truths, and it has to do with the UK Liberal Party supporter George Watson. He debunked the former in his landmark book Hitler versus Socialist Dream. It is now clear beyond all reasonable doubt that Hitler and his associates believed that they were socialists, and that others, including Democrat socialists, thought so too. You know, that's basically right there. He talked about Benito Mussolini too. He said, "Do not imagine that by tearing up my membership card to the Socialist Party, you can forbid my socialist faith or prevent me from continuing to work for the cause of socialism and revolution." I'm telling you guys, this is reminiscent, especially what you're seeing these idiots over here on the other side doing. Sounds like something they started around 100 years ago. Yeah, it never went away. Never went away. He's the founders of our republic approaches its midterms coming up here. It's important to note that our framers rejected European tyranny. They brought forth instead a form of government that's centered on the individual rights and not the collective rights. And we formed a representative republic. And power sharing arrangements that have never been seen anyplace else, meaning we the people over a government, but we're supposed to have a weak central government. Now we have an overbearing one at times. It's still better than most countries. But it also included a very important amendment. That was the right to keep and bear arms, the Second Amendment. So I wanted to bring this up because we are seeing this pattern right now. This is as of April 30th in Germany. This is happening again. They don't have a Second Amendment. They have to have licenses to have guns, licenses to hunt. I mean, we get hunting license, but this is a license like a FOID card in Illinois. So your firearm ownership ID card to buy ammunition and buy a gun. Same thing in Germany for hunting and for shooting. So that's how they work. They deem something bad, then they make a rule about it, then they make a law about it, and then they ban you or the item. We see this in regulatory stuff all the time. CO2 or carbon dioxide, guys, was deemed a pollutant. Then it was deemed bad, which led to their whole craziness on climate laws and rules. And now you see where I'm going with it. They could deem it bad through a regulatory position and move forward from there. Luckily, we have a Constitution. We got a little protection, but if we don't have enough people stand up and fight for that freedom, it's not free. It's not free. So keep that in mind. I just want to bring up the Germany thing because of that. I'm going to take another quick break. Thank some of our sponsors. I'm also going to run an ad because I have endorsed, and so is Guns in the 701 Network, Alex Laws. I think he's the candidate for the North Dakota Lone U.S. House seat. So I am going to run an ad from him, and then we'll run our big sponsors ad. So it'll be about a 4.5, 5 minute break, and we'll be right back.
How do we achieve real energy dominance? We need to continue to crack down on unnecessary regulations. I'll fight to end every federal carbon initiative that punishes North Dakota producers. And I'll introduce legislation to remove the restrictions blocking new fertilizer plants, processing facilities, and refineries. I'll also introduce legislation to make ag and energy part of the critical national security infrastructure so that future administrations can't turn back our progress towards energy dominance. Paid for by Alex Balazs for Congress.
LAUER Auto Repair, located at 308 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at LAUER Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with LAUER, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. LAUER Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at LAUER Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's LAUER Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
When you want it done right,
Go where lemons go.
Kalon's Auto Service, owned and operated by Kalon and Misty Foss, lifelong locals with over 25 years experience. From modern rides to classic restorations, they can handle it all. Top quality work, fair price, and honest hometown values. Located just one block south of Highway 12 on 6th Avenue West in Lemmon. Kalon's Auto Service, serving you with all your auto repair needs.
For the best gun gear for every and any situation, Little Angry Man Arms LLC has you covered. Top-notch guns from top-name brands like Winchester, Glock, Sig Sauer, and Ruger to essential extras from Magpul, Streamlight, Hollow, Sun Optics, and more. Little Angry Man Arms LLC have everything to make your shooting adventures a success. Visit littleangrymanarms.com today and gear up for your next big hunt, competition, or home defense. Don't miss out on our exclusive deals. Little Angry Man Arms LLC, based in Trail City, South Dakota, your ultimate hunting partner.
At Horton LaserCraft, we believe in the power of personalization. Whether it's a cherished memory, a special occasion, or a unique gift, our custom laser engraving brings your vision to life. Our expert craftsmen and state-of-the-art technology ensure every piece is a work of art. From personalized decor to one-of-a-kind keepsakes, Horton LaserCraft makes every moment unforgettable. Horton LaserCraft is owned and operated by a local veteran and his wife located near Thunderhawk, South Dakota. They provide custom laser products at a reasonable price, and their turnaround time is fast and efficient.
Custom board cutting, glassware, decanter sets, mugs, assorted stainless steel jewelry, assorted tags, decor, custom acrylic nightlights, and much, much more.
Call them up at 605-545-7535. Horton LaserCraft, where memories are engraved.
And Crappie Creek Feeds LLC, Jason and Megan Holm. You can reach them at 605-850-3998 or 605-515-3250. But I'd try the cell phone. He's got all your livestock needs. He's got mineral. He's got liquid. He's got garlic salt blocks. He's even got garlic lick barrels. He's got a 20% protein barrel that I'm feeding right now that I've had fantastic results for. You're going to want to give Jason a call down there at 605-850-3998. Brand new sponsor here for Guns of the 701 at our top tier. And we want to thank them for supporting us. And I highly recommend that if you have feed needs, give them a call. Thank you again. Crappie Creek Feeds LLC, 605-850-3998. All right, everybody. So going into this next part of the show, I'm going to bring up something. And this is how the NFA Act has changed a little bit. Of course, it was adopted in 1934. It was actually it was a way to try and control the people. That's just plain simple. That's just what call it was. It wasn't about safety whatsoever at all. The big beautiful bill, although we didn't get everything we wanted in there, it did bring the $200 tax stamp to zero. So, being it was passed as a tax, that was the premise of the NFA. There is no tax. It's been zeroed out. And that's where all of the new lawsuits are working their ways through the courts. Second Amendment Foundation's on board, Gun Owners of America, National Rifle Association. They have all pretty much teamed up. and they are pushing these lawsuits. So a little bit of history here. When the $200 tax was actually passed, that was a lot of money. For comparison, guys, it was roughly 4 to 5 months of full-time wages when that was passed. So it was a deterrent. It was to keep people from getting NFA items. Again, I like how they put it. It was a consolation prize for FDR administration. The primary purpose of licensing and registration of all handguns had been stripped from it, which was great to see. Now, remember, NRA did not have a lobbying wing of the organization yet, but in that particular year, when they were passed, they were able to strip away the licensing and registration for handguns in that bill, and they were left then with the NFA as it was, basically a tax bill on suppressors and silencers. Same thing, really. The Attorney General Homer Cummings was not our friend. He wanted to confiscate guns. He really was looking for a power grab with FDR, and he found it in the NFA. He just truly did. It made almost all suppressors unaffordable. Think about it. $200, 4 to 5 months wages. Can you imagine that today? Take your salary right now, whatever you're making, and take 5 months out of it. And would you want to pay a tax on each suppressor you bought each time? Because that's what we had right there. Which, with today's world, and $200 is what, maybe half a week for some people. Not even that for some, maybe a week. It's nothing, and it made them very, very accessible. Now, over that last 50 years since the NFA, and then some, we're coming up on the 100th year of the NFA if it doesn't go bye-bye in 2034. But then over in those other 50 years, you had the Interstate Commerce Clause was used, and then you had the National Firearms Act was used. All of this was taking out and then you had the Gun Control Act of 1968 in there. And every single one of them chipped a little bit more away. Short-barreled rifles got put into this, pistols, shoulder stocks, short-barreled shotguns, which included revolvers and shotgun cartridges. The Interstate Commerce Clause pretty much became inclusive to everything. All done regulatorily by unelected bureaucrats. As we've seen, our behemoth federal government, that's how they do many things. So with that, then a lot of states started passing laws that said, hey, our rules or our laws on suppressors are going to emulate and they're going to mirror the federal law. Well, these had two purposes to it. Tied state and federal law together, which is always a bad idea. So that court challenges had to overcome now both state and federal defenses, made it very tough. Provide a way for state and local law enforcement officials to prosecute people for what had been made a crime by the National Firearms Act. So therefore, you have local attorney generals, you had local officers basically enforcing federal law through the state laws that emulated the federal law. $200 tax stamp went away under the big beautiful bill. Now we have all these other things being challenged. The registration structure is still in place. You still have to go through that process. A lot of lawsuits are coming up and working their way up. And this is where I want to tell you all this, because this leads to what's happening now in the states. Texas has eliminated now the requirement to comply with federal law on suppressors as of 2021 already. Mississippi passed a similar bill in 2023, which is contingent on the state of the federal silencer law. So that's what a lot of these states are doing. When the law goes away at the federal level, so will the state level. That's what they're doing. Montana passed a bill eliminating the federal requirement in 2025. And here's how theirs reads. Possession of a silencer. A person commits the offense of possession of a silencer if the person possesses, manufactures, transports, buys, or sells a silencer and has the purpose to use it to commit an offense or knows that another person has such a purpose. So they eliminated one, and they also said this is the only way that they basically can be in trouble is if they actually have this intent to do it and commit an offense. South Dakota, always ahead of us generally, South Dakota eliminated the requirement for federal compliance. That was this year in their legislative session. Other states that still have bills, and this is of May 4th, so I haven't checked on them today, Arizona had one, SB 1069. It's in process. Missouri has one, SB 273. Ohio has a Senate bill, number 214, all in process right now. And I did not go check today and see if there was any movement on any of them. So I just thought I'd let everybody know that this is what we're doing. The states need to get aligned doing the same thing. So I do believe we could see the NFA overturned at the Supreme Court level, based plainly on Bruin, Heller, common use, and the fact that there is no tax anymore. How can you have a tax with no value? So it would basically nullify the NFA. There just hasn't been a good case yet, but we're working on it. We're working on it. So I think you're going to see that happen. I hope we do. I hope I see it. And then we need the states that don't have a law on the books that say, yep, when that happens, ours goes away, then you're still going to be subject to that and have to fight that battle. Matthew says, suppressor registration is a Trojan horse for confiscation. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely it is, because if you have a registered suppressor, pretty sure you're not putting it anywhere else other than on a firearm. So they know you have firearms. Yeah, it is that Trojan horse, and it's been around since 1934. All right, now a quick little update here. We aren't going to be going 2 hours because I don't have a guest tonight, but Glasgow, Montana, all you paddle fishermen, and the fish is on, man. It's getting to be fishing time. I'm going to actually talk a little bit about, I think, fishing on Todd's show, which is not my usual thing, but I thought there was some good things coming out. We need to maybe talk about them. Some stuff up at Fort Peck. There's some other things happening around the state even here. But in Glasgow, this comes out of this year, paddlefish anglers now have a new tagging option for tagging harvested paddlefish. There's no more color-coded plastic tags to attach to the harvested fish. If you've never done it, you got all these little tags, and it had this whole breakdown of what the colors meant. Paddlefish tags now mirror the big game tag options as validation requirements. When you take one into possession, meaning you catch one, the angler can complete the tagging requirement before the carcass is tied up to shore, stored in a cooler, cleaned or filleted, removed from the location, or the angler leaves the site. Anglers now get a choice when they purchase their tag for their desired paddlefish area, whether to have a paper tag, which is a lot like the deer tag, which needs to be validated by cutting out the correct month and day, notching it just like we do on our tags when it was taken, or there's an e-tag you can buy, which will be validated electronically. Now, here's the thing. To validate the paper or e-tag, it must accompany the angler while the paddlefish or carcass is in possession. Make sure all e-tags are downloaded before going out of service. So that's going to be an issue, right? Mandatory reporting varies by tag area. There is some additional requirements in certain areas. So you get the paper tag or the electronic. A white tag now, though, is within 48 hours via on-site check station, phone hotline, or the website. Yellow or green tag is before transporting the fish or by 9 p.m. the day that you have taken the fish, or by via phone hotline or the website. Note that self-check-in stations are for biological data submission only for the yellow and green tag. Okay? If you get a blue tag, it's within 48 hours via on-site check station, the Creel staff, phone hotline, or the website. Anglers lacking cell service can transport an unreported paddlefish, and once they are immediately back in service, they have 48 hours to report that harvest. Anglers with the e-tag must validate their e-tag, though, or notch their paper tag immediately upon harvest of the paddlefish, regardless of cell phone coverage. And you can visit their website for other things and I don't know if they made this better or if they complicated it, but paddlefish has always been pretty heavily regulated. They're kind of an interesting looking creature. There's no doubt about it. They do look like something from the probably the beginning of time. I don't know, but they're an ugly looking fish. I've never been paddlefish fishing, but I've seen them. You know, you can see them, and Cabela's has them, you know, in their big tanks. So you can see them a lot of places. All right, guys, with that, we're going to be getting here real close. We're going to do the Happy Ending Chronicle. Jackson, that's where we're going to. Mississippi. Suspect who kicked in the door of a home early Sunday morning was shot and killed by the homeowner during the home invasion. And in a press conference, the officials initially received a call around 3 a.m. to a domestic disturbance. Upon arrival, officers learned that a female had already been shot at the location, had been transported to a local hospital. A second call came into that same address shortly afterwards in reference to this invasion. When the officers responded to that, they learned that the suspect had kicked in the door at a location and had received at least 2 shots to the upper body. He died at the scene. They say the homeowner was taken into custody. Remember, I always stress this. Anytime you have a defense incident like this with your carry firearm, every state and every city, every county's got different procedures, but you probably will be taken maybe into custody. You may be detained. They're going to question you and just kind of determine there where they go. They took him in. He's still being questioned. I did try to look up to see if there was anything new to learn, but this happened Sunday and there's nothing out there. They haven't even released the name of the for lack of a better term, of the POS that broke into this home. So we do not have a lot of things on this. They said it was a pattern of domestic violence. They're not sure if there was any kind of a relation between the 2 incidences or the people in there. But I kind of assume that the homeowner's a male, female was taken, and the suspect that got killed is a male. I imagine it might have been a father. Maybe his daughter was there, boyfriend. Sounded like that. There was a witness that kind of alluded to that in the local news, but I don't know. As of right now, though, he hasn't been charged. It does bring up the matter, though, that the Second Amendment is a fundamental right. The right of a homeowner to defend themselves is also fundamental, especially against violent intruders, where you don't have time to decide. You don't have time to call help. You don't have time to negotiate. You sure don't have time to know if this person who has kicked in your door came into your home. If they're violent, have intentions to kill you or not, you can warn them. And if they don't stop, you're going to have to make that decision as, do you use lethal force? That's what happened here. This guy, whether it was a domestic dispute or not, he had no right to do this. And we had pulled another person out of there who will never do this anymore. He will never harm anybody. And if he shot that other gal, even worse. I'm glad that guy, if that's the case, then no longer breathes there. So that is our happy ending chronicle of the week for Guns in the 701. You're going to want to tune in, though. Coming up Friday, we got Blackbeard Logic. Blackbeard Logic is going to take place Friday night at 5 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Central. I'll be on with Todd in the morning, on Mitchell in the morning, for the Guns in 701 segment, 7:15 a.m., 7:20, depending on how we get started in the morning, Mountain Standard Time in the morning, or 8:15. Then Sunday, we have Sportsman Sunday Devotion with Vance Bishop. That comes out at 7 o'clock Center, 7 o'clock Mountain, 8 o'clock Central in the morning. Fantastic show. He's just, and that thing, I've been watching the numbers here, especially on the podcast. It's been doing great. So again, you want to tune in for that. I know that David Fettig does 701 Marksman. I don't know when his next episode is going to be, but he tries to do that once a month. I think he's about ready to wrap up maybe getting close to wrapping up his fertilizer runs. He's very busy this time of year, but he'll be having another one on there, and we will keep you posted on that. We're working on one other show. We'll see where that goes. I know that Vance also has a Sportsman's Watch, and I'm going to visit with him a little bit. Maybe he wants to just broadcast that through here. It's his own thing, and hey, that's okay. We love it. We have a team here. We're very proud of them. We're doing some fun things, and the network keeps on growing, something I never, ever thought was going to be on my bucket list. So, hey, Axie says the locked door was the warning. Absolutely. That's another thing. I just got the information from David where I think we found what we can buy that's going to allow us to eventually get it integrated into the system and take phone calls. We've been saying that for a while. I never found the right stuff to do it. I think David found it for us. So if we can get that bought, we're going to be, I hope, I'm not going to say in the next month, but I'm hoping here maybe by summer, possibly we can start taking phone calls. Because I think I'd just add a little element. We might not do it every show, kind of like Rush used to do, open line Friday. We might do, once a month we'll do open lines, or I don't know. We'll just see where it goes. I think it'd add a huge element to it. I may be having a pretty special guest on next week, trying to get it confirmed. Not sure yet. And I believe Greg Carls might be joining me either next week or the next week. He is running for the Perkins County Sheriff's Office down here by Lemmon and Bison in the Perkins County area. And I'll tell you right now, I do support him. I've visited a lot with him, and I've gotten to know him quite a bit. Out of the candidates that are running, he's also, none of them were born and raised here. But he is married to a Lemmon native. She's been there, I think, all her life. And he has been there the longest out of all of them. I like his attitude. He's a nice guy. He's very straightforward. I know he's a Christian because I go to Bible study with him every Monday. I'm telling you, the other guys, I can't tell you that. I also know that he's a conservative. Him and I have had some great discussions on the Second Amendment. He's with us, man. I'm telling you, you don't have to worry about him. You can trust him. And he flat out says, I will not go around federally if they come and say, take the guns. It's not going to happen. I can guarantee you he'd be with us. So this is the guy you want. You want a sheriff like that. I don't think he's like Corey Lee, but I think he has potential to get there over there in Stark County. So this is why I'm endorsing him. I urge anybody in Perkins County to go ahead, place your vote for him coming up in the primary because he will make a good sheriff. What he don't know, he can learn. Don't let that bother you. And he's been there. I mean, he's a veteran. He's got military background. He's very familiar with firearms. And he's very, very much a supporter of the Second Amendment. That's important, but he's also a Christian. You don't find that combination very often, and he's willing to say it. So my 100% support Greg Carls for the Perkins County Sheriff, and I urge all of you to do it. Nobody really knows about the other guys. I don't know much about them because they haven't said anything either. I do know I've met a few of them. Not necessarily always getting picked up either, but they're not from around here. They don't even know you. Some of them got an attitude. Greg does not. Greg's truthful. When you're talking to him, he looks you in the eyes. And I believe he has honesty and integrity. So if anyone knows me, you know how I feel about some of these things. And for me to endorse somebody like him is a big step for myself as well. And I'm proudly doing it. So vote for Greg Carls. I'm going to try to get him on the show. We talked about it last night. We just don't know which day it'll be, but we're definitely going to get him on here. So with that, everybody, I want to wish everybody a great week. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Please get out there and support our sponsors. We can't do it without them. They are a huge part of what we do here. And I couldn't be prouder to have the sponsors we got, and we keep growing. Also there's an opportunity of another one possibly coming in here in the next month. So that's kind of exciting as well. Everybody have a great week. God bless. And as always, keep your powder dry. See everybody Friday morning, 7:15 a.m. on Mitchell in the Morning, 5:50 a.m. The big dog KFYR up there in Bismarck, North Dakota. All right, everybody. Again, like I said, have a great week. We'll catch you guys later.